Spirit shows me a massive volcanic eruption taking place in Alaska, causing great shakings to nearby villages and towns. Spur. I see some type of sky event taking place. I see darkened skies as if I'm outside gazing at the stars. And I see this weird, strange object bobbling back and forth in the skies. And then out of nowhere, I see these lasers shooting across the sky as if it's military using some type of special laser technology to shoot down whatever is bobbling in the skies. Spirit takes me to France. I'm on the streets of France. Something big happens in France with their political structure that causes anger to the people. People taking to the streets feel like new laws being pushed to strip away their freedoms causes rioting in their streets. I see a military exchange taking place on the waters. The waters are soon, Spirit says, going to see a lot of aggression and a lot of military exchange. I see missiles being shot from Hello, beautiful tribe. I hope you're having a great day today. In today's content, we are going to review 3 separate sessions that I did over the weekend, starting on Friday, April 11th. I did another on Saturday and another on Sunday. 3 separate half-hour meditations. Now, keep in mind that it does take a little bit to get into the meditations. There are pauses in between the visions that I received from Team Spirit. So all that's edited out. All the pauses are edited out. The beginning of me getting in. And basically, it's just the straight up visions that Spirit revealed to me in these meditations. Starting with this first piece from Friday, April 11th. I hope you enjoy. I'm flying over the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, as if I'm a bird flying over the ocean towards Hawaii. As I approach Hawaii, I see ash in the sky, smoke. As I pass by, I see Mount Kilauea erupting. A bigger eruption than normal. I continue to fly over towards the Pacific, up towards the Philippines and Japan. Still knowing behind me this volcanic blast is happening at Kilauea in Hawaii. As I fly over, I see day turn to night, night turn to day. As I slowly approach the shores towards Japan, in between the Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, I see a disturbance beneath me. Maybe 300 miles out from the coast of, I'd say either the Philippines or Japan. I see a big disturbance and a vibration in the waters. The waters rise higher and higher, creating large waves that shoot in all directions. The biggest ones shooting towards the closest coasts, that being the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan. Waves bigger than we've seen in our lifetimes. I continue to fly above, watching these huge waves. First earthquakes, then the waves. I take this that Mount Kilauea will be a sign of this disruption that's happening beneath the Pacific between Hawaii, Japan, the Philippines, and Taiwan. Huge disruption beneath the sea. Something I've seen before, but this time they give us show me a sign. Something they showed us before, but this time they show me the sign over Kilauea. Waves do reach Hawaii, but small waves, thankfully. I continue to fly like a bird over the Asian continent, where I see a big shaking that comes into India. I'm not sure where in India, but I continue to soar like an eagle in the skies, watching the city shake beneath me. And then I swoop over towards the right. I make a sharp right, and I swoop over to China. In China, I see things shaking too. I take this as long as it takes for an eagle to soar through the skies will be as long as it takes for these earthquakes to hit all these different areas. Again, Kilauea, the vibration beneath the Pacific, unleashing multiple earthquakes, Indonesia, India, China. It will seem quite strange as it all hits like dominoes, one after another. This will be followed by a great awakening, a greater awakening to the consciousnesses of humanity. People becoming more aware of what's truly happening and the true shifts of Mother Earth. They will become more awakened to the awareness of the corruption on the planet. You will not see this corruption necessarily playing out in front of you. Instead, you will know. It will become a knowing. It will become the consciousness, often referred to as the Jesus consciousness. That is the true awakening. The true awakening happens within us, and then in turn happens all around us. Not the opposite, as many folks are looking for this all to play out in front of us in the media and in other sources, but it's going to be within the people that awaken. We will see the signs that appear in the skies that will awaken people to the ancient magics and the ancient belief systems that have been hidden from humanity for so long. These events are all playing out between now and 2029. By the time we hit 2030, things will be quite different. Keep in mind that there is continuous battle between dark and light, and the darkness is given a certain amount of time to manipulate. Be aware the awakening is to help you identify the manipulation of the systems that's playing out in front of you right now, making you believe that these systems are good and going into the place for the good of all, as they continuously strip away your freedoms and your rights. Something that Americans would never expect heading their way, as free speech gets stripped in the future. But it is up to the people and the awakening of the people to fight back and take our freedoms back. There will be those that follow the darkness, and there will be those that continue the fight in the light. This fight, again, continues into the 2030. I see a vision of two planes colliding in midair. One does a sharp turn, almost sideways, still causing the wings to clip each other, causing one plane to explode more than the other plane. The way this plays out in my vision, I would imagine that there is good video that will be released of this plane incident. I believe this happens over the United States. I see wildfires that hit in the northern parts of Oregon, heading up towards Washington and even into Canada. Lots of fires coming to this area, and it feels very strongly to me that these are intentional. Oakland, California comes to mind, which would make me believe that there would also be some type of fires and wildfires happening somewhere around Oakland, California. I see wildfires hitting the northern parts of Spain, parts of the mountains of Peru that run into the mountains of Chile. Lots of things are going to burn in the summer months. This is a part of the purification process. From the ashes, renewal, and the phoenix rises up once again. The date July 7th, 7/7/2025. A day that will go down as a date in history. A date humanity will never forget. 7/7, 7/11. And that first week of July, hold on tight, for there's going to be events that play out globally and through weather systems, earthquake systems, and even the tsunami season hits when we hit July. The first week of July will show what's ahead for the rest of the summer months. I see a mass movement of people, two mass movements of people. First, I see a large migration of people that feel to me like they're coming from the epicenter of a catastrophe. This catastrophe doesn't feel like conflict. This particular catastrophe feels like it is very much related to some type of major earth event, like the tsunami or earthquake, in which large amounts of humanitarian aid will be sent from other countries to assist in the cleanup and in the disaster that lays after. But many people migrate to different areas. This causes a lot of concern for people on coastlines, and this causes people to migrate from coastlines, especially in the areas of these epicenters, and warnings for other areas that follow, including warnings for the west coast, northwest coast of the United States of America. People won't want to return. In some aspects, people won't be able to return. The other large amount of migration of people that I see moving quickly is unfortunately due to some type of conflict. I feel once again that I'm in the Middle Eastern countries. Likely this is connected to Iran and the potential that the darkness that rules the planet and the oligarchs and the puppeteers at the top of the pyramid want nothing more than conflict. They've wanted this in the Middle East and continue to want this and continue to blame one another. This large migration of people, I would imagine, is coming potentially from Iran. It definitely has to do with Middle Eastern countries. Spirit tells me 3 large migrations of people coming in the next year to 2 years. Much of that coming in the near future in 2025. I see some type of a attack through airplanes, military combat, dropping some type of ballistic missile on a structure. But when I see this vision and I see the explosion, Spirit shows me the symbol in the center of radiation. So something that's getting hit during combat is going to unleash some type of radiation situation. This also makes me feel like it's a very planned event. I'm in Russia, and I see a motorcade that looks and reminds me of a presidential motorcade. I see one of the vehicles explode. Flips over like a Hollywood movie. I hear lots of gunfire. I hear chaos. I see people protecting people. Is this an attack on Putin? But Putin's not there. Definitely a targeted attack. Someone shoots from high up in the building after the explosion. This will ignite some type of new conflict or will intensify the current conflict. strong part of me, spirit makes me feel, a strong part of me feels that this is connected to Ukraine and NATO. I see Netanyahu. He's outside, surrounded by other men in suits, speaking. And I hear firing. I hear pow pow. I see people duck, people panic. I hear he's hit. He's hit. I'm not sure if this is Netanyahu that's hit. And I'm not sure where this is, but I feel like he's visiting somewhere. Visiting somewhere. Something Spirit says again, we're going to see a lot of in the near future. A lot of attempts on lives of leaders. Leaders being taken out. Attempts to take leaders out. Failed attempts at taking leaders out, including another failed attempt at taking out the President of the United States. There are 2 attempts coming up on the President of the United States. One in late April and another coming in July. July feels like the most radical of all attempts. One of these attempts, likely both, feels very orchestrated to me. Very orchestrated, and I feel that they will use Iran and radicals of the Middle East as an excuse. And then Spirit shows me a flag flying, a white flag with the word false written upon it. And then I see that 3-letter agency symbol. The current conflict between United States and China, the tariff wars, is a literal big conflict. This conflict is going to intensify China's aggression, not just towards the United States, but other countries as well. China aligns very strongly with Russia, Iran, North Korea, and they are becoming a dangerous duo for the entire planet. We're going to see aggressive attempts being pushed not just by China, but also soon you'll see attempts of pushes from North Korea. As more and more truth is discovered about the current conflict in Europe and how China is assisting in that conflict, along with North Korea and many others, this truth will become a reality. There will be more conflict in the China Sea and even in the Red Sea. I see aggression coming from Chinese ships towards the French, towards the United States, and even problems with Poland and some type of confrontation that happens with ships between Poland and, I believe, Russia. Poland must be very, very careful. Russia does not have your back. Unfortunately, Spirit shows me that the conflicts that are currently happening are only going to escalate and become much, much worse. We see the major conflict happening in the Middle East as the ceasefires continue no longer to cease. We continue to see what's happening between Ukraine and Russia, and soon Iran's going to come into the mix. When it does, this is going to be very, very dangerous for the entire planet. People will take to the streets to fight for peace. I see huge demonstrations taking place, and a combination of both Washington, D.C., but in front of Supreme Courts. I see hundreds, thousands of people gathered in protest. It feels to me, and in accordance to some of the signs that I see in this vision, they are fighting for our constitutional rights. A fight for freedom. I try to tap into when this is. I feel like this may not be till the latter part of the year, say September, October, November. April 20th. Big announcements happen on April 20th. Big events happen on April 20th. including ignitions of use of major amounts of weapons being used on April 20th. It feels that there is some type of fear attack happening using some type of large explosive type of device wired together with big barrels that I see. This is all loaded into a truck. Feels quite toxic, quite big. I feel like this truck somehow bypasses getting across the border. And I'm not sure which border I'm in. Likely coming from into United States. I feel like they may be driving towards Washington, D.C. We can hold in the light that they're apprehended before any type of ignition occurs. I see a vision of a very, very large storm, massive hurricane, Sandy-sized hurricane, Katrina-sized hurricane. Feels to me like it's almost taking the literal same path that Katrina took. I see majorly flooded streets throughout Louisiana. Feels like this storm's so big that it affects all areas, even touching Texas, parts of Florida. Hundreds of miles in size and width. Record-breaking winds that are recorded, 170 miles an hour, tearing roofs off homes like tin cans. I see the aftermath, people in boats. People on their roofs being rescued by the boats, helicopters, humanitarian aid. Major disaster. 3 states of emergency. State of emergency in 3 states. Several other counties. New York. I go to New York and I feel like very strange activities coming to New York and surrounding area. Starting with earthquakes. Enough to shake things up and cause concerns and focus on why earthquakes are happening in places like outside of Buffalo, New York, and up into Canada. A series of small quakes happening all in that area. But also I feel like major storm systems, one after another. Likely one being connected to hurricane. Flooding the streets of New York City. Flooding subways. Feels to me like Long Island gets hit even harder. Also with flooded streets, storm surge, and major systems that are going to batter the East Coast. New Jersey, New York, all the way up into Massachusetts. That whole tip of the East Coast. I feel we're looking towards the latter part of the year, September through. Spirit takes me to France. I'm on the streets of France. Something big happens in France with their political structure that causes anger to the people. People taking to the streets. Feel like new laws being pushed to strip away their freedoms causes rioting in their streets. The ignition of fires, many, many problems, changes, and shifts. Spirit says, watch France closely. I also get this strong feeling that France could even involve itself directly in some type of conflict or one of the current conflicts, like the one with Ukraine and Russia in the near future. This could have something to do with my feeling that there will be aggression on the waters, and some of that aggression will be towards a French ship. I feel a coming together. Canada, France, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. Almost like this is coming together, almost like a union, like the European Union, but something different. I don't feel for some reason that the United States is necessarily weaved into this. So many major changes and shifts are coming to the United States. The current conflict that's happening with China, the current conflict that the globalists are planning to launch against Iran. All of this chaos is going to cause a collapsing of the economies. The economies we see going up and down, but there is a collapse that's coming. This is a part of their plan. They, being the globalists, the big bankers, they have been putting all their money, even China, into gold and into important assets. China is stockpiling wheat, stockpiling food, because they are quite aware of what's coming in the near future, because they are a part of igniting this aggression. I see in the future some type of problems along the coast of Alaska involving China, including China's attempting plan to launch troops onto the land and the shores of Alaska. Spirit gives me this strong feeling that now is more important than ever to stock up on food and items, especially items that may come from another country, things that come in through our ports. The trading business is about to change drastically. People are going to awaken to the consumption and consumerism of too much stuff that affects the planet. This will also cause people to not want to buy things or buy as much things and consume as much goods as they currently do, which in some areas you'll be forced not to consume those goods because they'll be too expensive or unaccessible in these coming years. That is the first meditation from Friday, April 11th. And if you are enjoying this content so far, please do give me a thumbs up like. It takes multiple hours and time and energy to put all this together for you. And all I ask is a little love by clicking that thumbs up button to help our tribe grow, to get this information out to others, and for it to show up on other people's feeds so we can make our tribe even bigger. And if you're new here and you want to continue receiving the most accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, you want to vibe with our awesome tribe, be sure to smash that subscribe, the bell and all, so that you get notifications. This is the second meditation I did on Saturday, April 12th. I hope you enjoy. I see a plane, a big airplane going down. This plane's going down. And it reminds me of the plane that went down in the Hudson River with Captain Soley. I see a scenario playing out, but as this plane is going down towards the ground, heading towards this body of water that looks very much like a large river to me, it seems that the one wing somehow gets clipped. I see the water doing a coast into the waters. I see the plane doing a coast into the waters. I do see people with life preservers in the water. Although I feel very strongly that not everybody on this airplane is fortunate enough to make it out with that life preserver. Not sure where I'm at or what country. I could potentially be up maybe in the north, Canada, northern part of the United States, but not really clear. What is clear is that this plane is not running. What is clear is that this plane is not operating correctly. As I see it going in, tilting sideways as it goes over a bridge heading towards the waters. Feels to me like one engine's out completely. The number 13 comes to me. 13. Not sure if that's how many do not make it out with the life preservers, or if this is a connection perhaps to a date, the 13th of a month. And the more I look at this actually could be somewhere in Europe. Perhaps between England, United Kingdom, somewhere in that area. I'm at the Eiffel Tower in France. And we've seen so many things in France with fire. But I feel like I'm a tourist. I'm walking through the streets of beautiful Paris, France. I'm walking towards the area where the Eiffel Tower would be on my right side. But then I hear this commotion. Then I hear this pow pow. Pow pow pow. Pow. Some type of event playing out around the Eiffel Tower that involves a weapon. A pow pow weapon. It sounds to me in this vision and the way I'm walking down this street that it's separate weapons that are being fired. As I get closer, I see people ducking behind the cars, trying to look towards the tower of what's going on. Then I hear sirens begin to ring out throughout the city. I see lights flashing in the streets heading towards the Eiffel Tower. This could be an event that plays out perhaps in the month of May. The month of May jumps out strongly for events playing out in Paris, whatever they may have be. I'm in South Africa. I'm in South Africa and it feels hot. And everything's beautiful other than the heat that's beating down. And then I look off the coast towards the coastlines and I see this big dark storm heading towards me with clouds that spin like a hurricane or like little tornadoes. I believe this storm may come in from the west or be heading west. The direction of west comes to mind. I see people taking shelter. I see floods, flooded streets. I see mud flowing into the streets. Major flooding events hitting the area of South Africa. This storm feels very unusual to me. It feels very somewhat manipulated. It feels very different. Not a typical kind of storm. Something Spirit says we'll see a lot of in the near future. As we've seen in the recent past, storms that don't seem so typical. That seem that as if they could have been potentially manipulated. In which Spirit says some have, but some are, and most are natural. Spirit gives me visions, takes me to different ports around the world. I'm seeing ports and big containers of shipping goods, and everything seems to be flowing normally. And then suddenly everything seems to not be flowing so normally. It's as if the ships that are carrying these containers suddenly begin to use a new route or take a new route. A new route that feels controversial. I feel that China is somehow involved with this. At the same time, I see problems at ports. I see a large explosion, attacks on ports in the Middle East. And I also see a point where ships are just sitting out at sea, not moving. Reminds me very strongly of 2020. Something temporarily shutting down shipping or stopping goods from moving in any direction. In my vision, I see everything flowing normally, and then it's as if somebody pushes the pause button and everything just stops. Potentially, this could be revolved maybe around a global cyber attack that takes place. This could also, if not, be related to some other circumstance. I feel like cyber attacks are strongly going to play a role in shipping goods, and that'll be a part of the current trade wars will turn into cyber wars related to shipping goods, and the banking systems. I see a large blackout, the city of Chicago going dark. This feels like it could also be cyber attack type of related incident. Spirit says keep your eyes towards the summer months. I'm down under in Australia, where I feel like many events are about to play out this part of our world. As Australia begins to experience odd, crazy storm patterns and storms, Spirit compares a storm hitting parts of Australia that remind me of the storm that went through the Carolinas last year, which, as many speculate, was a very manipulated storm. Comparing the two storms together, the storm that happened, the hurricane that hit the Carolinas in the United States, and comparing that to a storm coming to Australia, I would warn our friends in Australia to be aware of a potential land grab type of an event taking place in an area where there may be something precious beneath the soil. But many of the storms that are going to hit Australia and other places are natural events occurring as the earth begins to shift. The magnetic poles and the activity coming from the sun causes storms to ignite in a new direction. Storms begin to move in different directions. Storms taking sudden turns. The area of Australia that was recently flooded in Queensland, I feel like triple hits. One hit after another. So a warning to our friends in that area of Australia and Queensland that there will be more flooding events that will come soon. I see flooding events going completely across areas that are not used to that type of weather or floods in Australia that are normally dry getting flooded. One of these huge storms coming to that area of the globe will sweep over Australia and even hit parts of New Zealand, causing flooding streets in New Zealand as well. Again, Spirit pulls me to the summer months, but also the latter part of 2025, October and November. Spirit gives me this overwhelming feeling that Russia, along with China at its side, are planning some type of sinister type of attack going into Ukraine, but I feel like this is a multiple attack. And I see computer systems, I see hackers, so a large part of what China, with North Korea, and Russia are planning is a large cyber attack. And this cyber attack, Spirit shows me, is not just on the Ukraine. The cyber attack is going towards the United States and other allied countries. September is another time period that jumps out at me strongly. September feels like a time period where we can experience global power outages and other type of outages. Some, yes, related to cyber attacks, but other events as well. Power outages and strange activity happening with lights across the globe will become a viral event. Why is the power always going out? Why are we losing power? Why are the lights blinking? Strange activities with the power grids. Some of this is an effect of the Earth's magnetic field, which will also be effective in taking out some power in many countries. Again, more problems for Cuba, their power grid, major problems for Puerto Rico, and even some type of humanitarian efforts being called in for the people of Puerto Rico, and even Cuba. But Cuba not allowing any humanitarian efforts to come in. I see problems with power and the power grid in Los Angeles, California. Something's going on there. Spirit continues to show me some type of military activity that's going to be happening in California, mainly in the area of Los Angeles and the southern parts. I also see some type of Navy ships off the coast, west coast of California, as if they're there protecting or looking for something. I see large wildfires that begin to swipe through China. And this literally does feel like an act of conflict towards China using some type of special technologies. China is going to have their hands full when it comes to wildfires spread out throughout the country. I see villages burning and even issues with fire near a big city in China. I see some type of fire breaking out, wildfire in the northern part of Vietnam. And big fires that sweep through India as well. Closer to the borders of China. Fires cross the borders from China to India. I see a military exchange taking place on the waters. The waters are soon, Spirit says, going to see a lot of aggression and a lot of military exchange. I see missiles being shot from ships that look very much like they're American U.S. Navy ships, shooting from the waters towards a coastline. But this looks major. Looks like there's 7 ships all shooting missiles towards targets on the coast. Likely I may be somewhere in the Middle East, but I'm not really clear. I see one of those 7 ships being hit by retaliatory firing. I hear sirens. It's not a big hit, but it's a hit that endangers the ship from sinking. I see more aggression on the waters. I see a very large ship that feels like it's purposely charging towards another ship, ramming right into this ship, causing this ship to split apart. This feels like aggression coming from China, charging towards a ship potentially connected to the Philippines. China is going to show more aggression towards the Philippines and even more so Taiwan as they begin to plan putting boots on the ground in Taiwan. Look for the time period of October especially for conflict. New conflicts to ignite between October and November. I see some type of gas-like device being ignited in what looks to me like a subway system of some sort. And it's in a case. Person opens it up and it unleashes some kind of gas. I'm not sure where I'm at. I believe I'm somewhere in Europe. Perhaps Germany. This feels like some type of targeted fear attack. I'm not sure what is the gas. Could also just be smoke. Device. I see people running out, getting as far away as possible. I see the person being apprehended. And I do believe I may be in Germany. Spirit says to prepare for major shifts and changes in the economy, unlike anything anybody would have expected. Big changes in the currencies that we use, and big collapses of the markets. The market changes that we've seen so far are nothing in comparison to what will come in the future. I feel that this is very strongly a planned agenda that's coming even from beneath the big bankers and the globalists and even the oligarchs. This is a push to push us into a full digital currency. But something new comes, something new arises. There does feel like hope in the end and light at the end of the tunnel. I see gold skyrocketing, likely well over $5,000 an ounce. Why silver will eventually reach its actual worth, which is well over $100, and even more so in the hundreds per ounce. Spirit shows me literally a treasure chest and opens it up, and it's a treasure chest filled with all silver, showing us that that's going to be the treasure of the future. This is an odd one, but I'll tell you everything Spirit shows, and I keep seeing a symbol for Dunkin' Donuts, and only those in the United States would understand this. I'm not sure if there's Dunkin' Donuts in other countries. There probably likely is. It is a big corporation, but Spirit keeps showing me the symbol for Dunkin' Donuts, and I feel that in turn showing me this means that there's some kind of big controversy and truth that may be unveiled around this corporation in the near future. We may likely see resignations that occur around this company, and perhaps even closures of hundreds of stores. Speaking of stores and corporations, Spirit says these economic shifts and changes are going to hit big corporations in a big way. This is a huge part of taking down the old systems so that we can rebuild something new in the future. And many of these corporations that are about to fall have deep roots in corruption and taking advantage of consumers and even their employees. And in the downfall of these corporations, Spirit shows me a large building in a city. I'm not sure what corporation or what CEO may be inside, but I see what looks to me like FBI and police outside this building, and I see them bringing out several people in handcuffs. One guy has a white shirt and a tie, maybe in his 50s, early 60s. Two others in suits. I see press cameras taking pictures, video. Feels like a big deal, whoever this is being arrested in this corporation, this big company. Could even be connected to the big banking system. My final meditation on Sunday, the 13th, was a little bit shorter, but still accessed some new information from Team Spirit. Check it out, and I really do hope you enjoy, and don't forget to click that thumbs up love button. I see a large, massive explosion taking place at some type of an oil refinery. Spirit gives me a feeling that we're going to see many explosions revolved around these oil refineries throughout the planet. Much of this feels to me like an attack on big oil and on oil refineries, while some will be simply categorized as accidents, incidents, not divulging truth behind those that may be set ablaze on purpose. I see a large oil refinery explosion taking place in Texas. I see multiple explosions. I see multiple explosions taking place at oil refineries throughout the Middle East, starting with Saudi Arabia. I have a vision of an airplane dropping a missile on top of what appears to be an oil refinery. This feels to me like it's in the Middle East as well. Targeting of oil refineries. I see problems revolved around an oil refinery in Australia, or some type of problem involving oil. Some type of oil-like disaster. I see oil seeping out, seeping into the water. Somewhere, I believe, strongly in Australia. It's as if the oil's boiling up through the ground. The smell is toxic. I see cleanup crews coming in with hazmat suits, focusing on oil, focus and target on oil. One of these oil refinery explosions feels to me like somebody on the inside is placing an explosive device in between two large tanks and walking away. This feels to me like somebody that's within the company itself. Not sure where I'm at or what country I'm in. I also see some type of problem both with a oil refinery that sits upon the waters in the Gulf of America catching fire. I see two separate, different oil-related spills or disasters hitting the Gulf of America. Directly south of Texas. The oil refinery that I see on fire that sits upon the waters feels to me like it's closer to the coast of Louisiana. Spirit gives me this strong feeling that we'll be seeing a lot in the near future and in the coming years revolved around oil, big oil, and the concerns of the environmental disasters caused by big oil. Spirit also adds in there, not to mention the continued battle that is about to ignite over oil. Who gets what, where it goes. And eventually, a huge demand of oil will come right out of the United States. And eventually, Canada as well. It almost feels to me like there's no other choice. As if we won't be getting it from other places anymore. And other places will rely on us in coming years. Spirit shows me continued tensions rising in the Middle East as peace treaties go into the background, never being fulfilled. Ceasefires become unstable. And only for a short period of time will there be quiet, not complete silence, for there will still be the ignition of conflict going on all around the Middle East. But things will somewhat quiet down before big tensions rise once again. I see missiles being fired into Israel from outer sources. I see an involvement in Iran and problems and tensions arising as we get to the latter part of 2025. I see several explosions around buses and transportation vehicles happening within and behind the walls of Israel. One of these coming during a special holiday or celebration. Not necessarily the celebration that is being celebrated by Israel, but that being celebrated by the offenders, the enemies, launching these explosives on at least 2 big buses, all in the same day. October feels like a month where tensions will rise even higher when it comes to Israel and the Middle East. I see a mass exodus of people, a mass migration of people. People even fleeing from behind the walls of Israel. Tensions rising with Egypt and Egypt's refusal when this mass migration happens to allow others to cross their borders. Egypt is in for some great shakings in the near future, as well with political shakings, tensions within their military, and coming weather events, including a significant earthquake that will shake along the Mediterranean, shaking parts of Egypt, Cairo, and major floods coming to that area in the latter part of 2025. I see some type of tensions arising along the Euphrates River between 2 countries. I see a vision of basically soldiers, 2 different countries on both sides of the Euphrates, with the Euphrates being that which separates the tensions between the 2. I feel Turkey somehow involved with these tensions. I see a vision of these vigilantes going in at night into the waters where a big dam holds back the water. I see them coming in the late night, early morning hours in these little boats, going along this dam, setting up some type of explosive devices. All the way across the bottom, some placed beneath the water, and all placed out of sight in some form. They cover some with tree branches. These are activated somehow by a cellular device. As I see them open up the phone, as if they're programming these explosives. One says, okay, all set. And they sneak off quietly in their boats, pulling their boats out of the water, packing into vans. Not clear where this dam is that's being sabotaged with explosives. But of course it feels to me that it would be a very big deal and would flood many out of their homes or communities. This feels very fear attack related to me. I see some type of sky event taking place. I see darkened skies as if I'm outside gazing at the stars. And I see this weird, strange object bobbling back and forth in the skies. And then out of nowhere, I see these lasers shooting across the sky as if it's military using some type of special laser technology to shoot down whatever is bobbling in the skies. I feel lasers in the skies, strange phenomena that we are going to be seeing more of in the skies. as sky phenomena opens up more than ever in the month of July of 2025, with more sightings, more sky concerns, and more drone activity as we saw earlier in the year. As we saw latter part of 2024, but on an even more powerful level, as people begin to witness portal-type activity opening up in the skies, clouds that form into what look like tunnels or portals to other dimensions. We see more hearings coming, Senate hearings and even Parliament hearings revolved around what's happening in the skies, with more whistleblowers stepping forward, divulging information, including more high-quality digital videos and pictures of what these governments actually hold beneath that curtain, not revealing any of it to us. But soon these things will be revealed in the coming years. I see a rocket being launched. It reminds me of what happened in the 1980s when 7 astronauts perished, allegedly, when the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. Spirit's taking me back to that event, to the Space Challenger and the 7 astronauts. But then Spirit forwards me to our current time, and I see a similar event taking place, which would make me feel that astronauts would perish in such an event if Spirit's comparing this to the Space Challenger explosion that happened in the 1980s. Likely this is something being set up by NASA, but perhaps even another company like SpaceX. Exploding rockets will become a concern, especially when one exploding rocket and the debris from that rocket falls into a neighborhood, causing fire, igniting one home on fire. This feels SpaceX related to me. Spirit shows me that there is currently a conflict happening behind the scenes that we are not quite aware of, that involves weather, the manipulation of the climate, and the manipulation of even the tectonic plates. This technology has already been used by China against the United States in test runs. And the United States also is responsible for using it as well. But this technology is going to go back and forth between the United States and China. So expect catastrophic weather events to start taking place on a more higher level than we've already witnessed, knowing that some of this is what can be referred to as weather warfare. United States will strike China hard with a massive earthquake outside of Beijing, China. You'll know, because we just told you so. I'm on the southern tip of Japan, watching from high land, as if I'm looking down towards the people enjoying themselves on the shorelines and coastlines of Japan. I'm not far from a big city, not Tokyo, but a big city in the southern part of Japan. As I watch the ocean from high ground, the ground begins to shake intensely, violently, like nothing. People fall immediately to their knees because the ground shakes so hard you can't stay balanced. I look off to the ocean and I see a massive wave coming. This earthquake and tsunami is going to disrupt the plates beneath the Pacific Ocean, which in time will unleash a series of massive earthquakes and tsunamis, hitting all those areas from Japan, southern Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, and even certain coastlines of Australia as these plates become ignited once this massive earthquake hits in that part of the Pacific right beneath southern Japan. Spirit shows me a massive volcanic eruption taking place in Alaska, causing great shakings to nearby villages and towns. Mount Spur. I have Spirit gives me this strong feeling that United States will see the eruption of 3 volcanoes in a row within a short time span of several months apart. Alaska, Washington. There you have it, beautiful souls. I really hope that you enjoyed this content today. The predictions and the visions shared with my team of amazing spirit guides. And again, if you did enjoy today's content and you made it this far, please just reach on down, take a millisecond to click that thumbs up button. And if you're new here and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, smash that subscribe, the bell and all, so that you get notifications. And if you did all that, then welcome to the tribe, baby. Welcome to the tribe. You will not be disappointed here. Down below in the description, you'll find the links to all my social media, including my website that you can access private sessions or what have you at josephtittel, Tittel.com, or spiritmanjt.com. If you get a message on any social media platform that appears to be me, it is not me. I will not message you privately on any platform, especially Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Please report those profiles immediately, and also please sign up for the free newsletter below. And a big thank you to all the contributors to this channel, to the members of this community, and my Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community, which the link is also below. Without you, I wouldn't have the time to be able to put all this content together for you. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. And remember to catch me every Tuesday for Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time, where we talk about world events, how they relate to predictions, with new predictions each and every week. Until the next time, friends, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste, and much love, friends. Much love.